Is Mike Mabey here? Is Mike Mabey in the room? Mike Mabey. M-A-B-I-E. Maybe. Okay. You might want to get a seat. We're going to get started pretty soon. If these seats are all filled up, you can go down this hallway, and there's another big screen TV with lots of seating in the kitchen area. We've got another 80 seats back there. It's not as crowded.
Testing Fellowship Hall.
So just go down that hallway.
1, 2, 3, testing Fellowship Hall.
And if that fills up, we have a third overflow room. So we're set for a crowd tonight. But you don't have to stand at the back. We have overflow seating. house. We're okay. I'm hoping. Because we're going to fill this up and we're trying to drag into it. We have two overflows. You don't put them here for the still coming in. It's like those people are coming in. Those are the prime seats. I told my kids you should charge for the seats as well. Those are prime seating. You're having a bigger contribution. 2-minute warning. Everybody get a seat. If you can't sit in this room, you don't have to stand at the back. We have overflow seating down this hallway to my left, and a nice big screen TV and very comfy seating back there. So everybody get a seat. We're going to get started in 1 minute.
Sir,
Yeah.
I'm speaking for Kevin Ranke,
Oh, you're Captain Mike. Yeah.
Michael Brown. Yeah.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Steve Ray.
Steve. Nice to meet you, Steve.
They have a sheet like this back at your table.
Yep, I saw it.
And what we're going to do, and you're filling in for Kevin?
Kevin Ranke.
Okay.
Yep.
I will introduce Kevin like he's here. Then we're going to play his videos.
Yeah, it's only about a minute.
Then I'll introduce you. You come up, and you have the rest of the 20 minutes. There'll be a countdown timer back there for you. And a lady in the front row with, hey, Jen, hold up your timer card. We'll see one with a time on it.
Yeah, I won't need 20
Yeah.
minutes. I won't need.
No, well, it's 20 total for the
Hey, Rob. Calvin. Yep, I know. What's that?
we gotta
You
get
can't
rolling.
sit on the couch. All right, where do you want me to sit?
Sit up here if you want, because a lot of people grab these seats. Yeah, we're going to have to start right now. That'll be a couple minutes. Make sure to get a seat, and remember we have an overflow room just down this hallway. Behind this room, we've got a big room with a big screen TV and lots of good seating. And the ushers will help you out. John, how are we doing on the overflow? Oh, you made it. Okay, I was looking for you. Okay. Just in time. That's just in time delivery, Mike. Okay.
I know how long it takes me to get here.
We're going to start with a pledge and then a short invocation. Keep it under 2 minutes. And then we're good. You're done. And now, you still active duty military?
Guard, still in the guard.
So how many years in the Guard?
I'll have 20 next month.
And have been in the Guard the whole time or active duty? So,
Yeah.
well,
I've
in the
been
Guard.
active for a couple deployments, flight school, that sort of thing.
Okay. And you're a helicopter pilot, is that right? Is it what kind of?
Black Ops.
Black Ops, okay. Okay. Well, I'll do a quick intro and we'll get going in about 3 minutes. We start right at 6.
You want me to stand out there, sit up here or something?
No, you stand right here because I'll just tell them, stand up, we're going to do the pledge.
Gotcha.
Do a quick, Mike Maybe's here to lead us, and
Sounds good.
we're going to have a full house because we filled this room up and we're working on the back room there. We might need some help with the ushering and getting people to fill those seats up, and then we have a third overflow room with a big screen TV. So if you get a chance, kind of go back and see how that's going, because I don't want people to have to stand the whole time.
I'll walk through right now.
Well, no, don't, because we have to go in 2 minutes. After we finish. Yeah, you don't walk off the stage before you do your opening number, Mike.
I walk quick.
You're not walking that quick. You need your helicopter. Please get your seat. We're going to get started in 2 minutes. 2-minute warning. Is this a better sound? I seem to be getting some feedback from this one. This one seems to be kind of tinny. Is this going to be better? About the same? Okay. Now, please grab a seat. The guy that's supposed to come to you, so you're off the hook. Please get a seat. If you can't get a seat here, you don't have to stand. It's a long time to stand. Down this hallway, you can get to it by going out the front and going down this area where the bathrooms are. All the way to the back, there's a big room with a big screen TV and lots of good seats. And when that fills up, we got a third backup overflow room. So please get your seats. We're starting in 1 minute. Good evening. Thank you for coming tonight. My name is Steve Redmond. I'm president of the Ottawa County Patriots, and we've put this event on with a lot of our collaborating agencies, and we start our meetings as we always do. We ask you, if you can, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And we're going to be led tonight by Mike Mabey, a 20-year veteran of the National Guard who's a helicopter pilot and has had some deployments. Mike, please lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you for a meeting such as this, Lord. I thank you for the nation that we, Lord, live in, Lord, a nation that is unlike any other nation that has ever existed. Lord, we know that we have dire needs in America these days, and Father, the most desired need I think that we have is to know you as our Savior. Father, we have many amongst our midst in our nation that would have nothing to do with you and would have nothing to do with politics, Lord, would have nothing to do to even think of, as they say, mixing them. But Lord, here tonight we're not mixing them. But Lord, we come before you tonight and ask your blessing upon this meeting. Lord, we ask that you'd bless the candidates that are here tonight and let them be participating remotely. God, I ask that you'd please help whoever it is that may be leading our state in the near future. Lord, that you would please help them to have a walk with you, to have a testimony of knowing Christ as their Savior. And Father, I pray that even more so, Lord, that we as a people would not only stand behind them, but Lord, would hold them and those below them accountable for what's in your word. And Lord, that they would govern according to your word. Lord, help them to be a governor and not a ruler. Lord, we love you. And Lord, I thank you for Jesus tonight. Thank you for the blood. Thank you for the Bible. Lord, I ask you please bless our time together tonight in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Well done. Good job. How many people are here for the first time, never been to one of our meetings before? Raise your hand. Okay. Welcome. If you keep your hands up, the ushers will give you contact cards, because we don't go through the media to advertise these meetings. We don't need to. Having the media advertise for you is like having a nice family picnic and inviting a turkey buzzard. You could, but why bother? So keep your hand up. Ushers, if you can get the contact cards to people, just fill it out and then turn it in to the guy right at the back there. His name is Jeff by the computer. And then we'll get you on our mailing list. You're not a member. You can always become a member, but that gets you on our mailing list. So when we have future meetings, we can let you know about it. So keep your hands up if you want to get on the contact list. And Jeff, maybe get the ushers, get the contact cards, and get them out to people. They're on the desk, right in front of you. Yeah, just keep your hands up. We'll get the contact cards to you. Well, we have a great meeting tonight, and we're glad to have such a super turnout. We have partnered with a number of other people to put this meeting on tonight, and we'd like to have them come up and just greet you, starting with Talia Grieve, who represents one of our congressional districts. Talia, are you here? There you go. Just real quick, tell us who you are and where you're from.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Talia, and I serve as the chairman of the 2nd Congressional District. So on behalf of our entire committee, welcome to the 2nd District. We are so excited to see so many people passionately involved in this decision. This is an important decision. Whoever our candidate is, we have the chance to retire our governor. Yeah, right? Yeah. So what I'm going to ask you to do is listen carefully to these candidates tonight. Think of questions you want to ask them, and then show up in the back and talk to them. Ask your questions, pray, and make a decision on who you're going to vote for. Show up and vote. That's important. And when the dust settles, whoever our candidate is, we all need to turn out and do everything possible we can to make that a victory in November. So thank you again.
Mike Hewitt couldn't come tonight. There was some illness in the family, but he sends his greetings. He also chairs a congressional district in the West Michigan area. Next up, another one of our collaborators and co-sponsors is Joe Moss from Ottawa Impact.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, everybody. On behalf of myself and co-founder Sylvia Rohde and all of the members and supporters at Ottawa Impact, thank you for being here. Thank you, candidates, all of you, for crisscrossing the state and for working hard, doing the hard work to secure the blessings of liberty for us and for future generations. Thanks for coming tonight, and hope you have a great time.
Good job. Well done. Next, one of our newest co-sponsors, Cindy Amante, representing the Republican Women of Ottawa County. It's a new group. They have a table with Ottawa County Republicans, and they'll tell you more about the group. But if Cindy would come up and give us a welcome from the Republican Women of Ottawa County.
Good evening. My name is Cindy Amante. I'm from the Republican Women of Ottawa County. I'm the communications chair. So our organization promotes patriotism, fraternity, community service, and the principles of the Republican Party. We also strive to promote integrity, transparency, and efficiency in public service and governance. On behalf of the Republican Women of Ottawa County, I'd like to thank the Ottawa County Patriots for organizing tonight's event. And I would also like to welcome and thank our excellent candidates for striving to become the next governor of Michigan. Thank you.
Good job. And last but not least, my friend Fulton Sheen, representing the Freedom Circle of Allegan County.
Thank you. Well, you know, the purpose of Freedom Circle, the Ottawa County Patriots, and many of the other groups that are here this evening is to help our fellow members cut through the rhetoric, cut through the politics, and get to the heart of the matter and get to the truth. And 200 years ago, John Pierpont Morgan said, "A man has two reasons for doing anything, a good reason and then the real reason." What we'd like to hear tonight is the real reasons. And we want to encourage the governor candidates here tonight to set aside any political speech, and we want everybody to know what's inside. Let it not be another event just discussing spending money on infrastructure, lowering taxes, or our state education system, but who are you really? What truly motivated you to run? And what are you prepared to do about the pervasive fraud in our election systems, the canceling of people who dare to stray from the politically correct narrative, the attack against our constitutional rights, multilateral corporations and big tech companies and global elite organizations such as the UN, World Health Organization, and Economic Forum basically putting themselves in a position to dictate to Americans what they can and cannot do. Let us tonight discuss things of substance that are at the root of what's eroding our American way of life.
Well done, as always, my friend. We made this a collaborative event because in a political season, it's hard to get a candidate to come just to talk to one group. So we thought, let's get all the groups together and invite them. And that's part of our working plan is we don't compete with other grassroots groups. We collaborate. We collaborate with every group that has similar goals and purpose, and it's worked well for us. And this is an example. Together, we can always do more. And I want you to know that there's additional candidates and organizations here tonight. In the main area, after all the talks are done, we're going to encourage you to go talk to the governor candidates. 3 of them are here in person, and 2 of them have sent surrogates to speak for them. Make sure you go and talk to them. We also have, in a room behind the coat rack, a number of other people running for public office, including people running for the Ottawa County Commission. We have 3 candidates for Michigan State Senate seats from this area in Allegan County. And, you know, please go and talk to them also. It's very difficult to run for public office today. It's expensive, it's time-consuming, it's exhausting, and no good deed goes unpunished. If they don't like what they say, they may show up outside your door with a bullhorn. They may harass your kids at school. Our candidates go through a lot. So even if you're not in their district, go and thank them for coming tonight and running for public office, because very few of us are willing to do that. And you don't always get rewarded for running for public office. You get attacked, and people say things that aren't true and demeaning, and you have to slug through that because you're running, as Fulton says, for a greater purpose. And so make sure to thank the candidates before you leave tonight. One thing I did want to address before we got rolling was the issue of United Way endorsements. A lot of us are pro. How many people are pro-life? Okay. Okay, let's just check to make sure there's no Democrats in the room. But their endorsement's always a big deal. And years ago, Right to Life would give their endorsement to every candidate, regardless of political party. If you met their criteria, you got the endorsement. Democrat, Republican, Constitutional Party, natural, didn't matter. You got their endorsement. Some years ago, they changed their formula. They said, we want to start picking winners and losers. And so they decided we're going to give our endorsement not out to every candidate that meets the criteria. We're going to give it just to those we think are the best ones, in our opinion, to hold that office. And there's a lot more to it that I'm not going to get into tonight. But I just want you to understand, in the governor race, one has been endorsed, the others have not. I want to assure you, I've looked at debates, I've looked at their websites, I've talked to them. all of our gubernatorial candidates are strongly pro-life. Your vote... There's no one in the group that will not defend life. And so, in their case, they all qualify. And I'm glad that Tudor got it, but it could have been given to all of them. And so it doesn't mean that she's the only one that's pro-life. It just means that they chose to give that endorsement to her for whatever purposes they had at the time. But if you've talked to any of these candidates or looked at their websites or looked at what they've done, the best indicator of future performance is what? Past performance. Look at these people, what they've done in the past. They're all pro-life. So don't worry when you cast your vote that you're not getting a pro-life candidate. If you vote for any of the Republican candidates that are still viable, they're all pro-life. Now, it gets complicated because in the Ottawa County Commission races, the way Right to Life usually does it is they say if you're an incumbent and you got endorsed before, well, you're automatically going to get it again, and your challenger will not get that endorsement. Well, Joe Moss's partner in crime, Sylvia Rohde, is a tremendous researcher. She researched some things about the Ottawa County Health Department colluding with Planned Parenthood and dealing with sex ed in the schools. And it was so damning, she put a white paper together, she presented it to Right to Life, and they pulled the endorsement of all the incumbents. And they pulled it either because they were aware of what was going on, this long collaboration with Planned Parenthood, which is against life, or they didn't know about it, which means your elected officials were asleep at the switch. So they lost their expected endorsement. They then vetted many of the candidates for Ottawa Impact, and I think most of them have now got the Right to Life endorsement. So for the Ottawa County Commission candidates, Right to Life got it right. For the governor candidates, they got it partially right. But I just want you to know that that's important in this community because most of us are pro-life. And if you don't pay attention to who's running and all the details, you'll say, well, who did Right to Life endorse? Where's their voter guide? You got to be careful. You've got to do your due diligence. You've got to check into the candidates. We have people running for office that claim that they're Republicans and they're not. And there's been some indication that some of the candidates for county commission, not Joe's group, have been colluding with Democrats and doing some pretty nefarious things where Democrats are endorsing certain Republican candidates. That makes me kind of suspicious. So when you decide to look into who you're going to vote for county commissioner, check it out. Check out the incumbent, talk to them, find out where they stand, and then check out the challenger. We as the Ottawa County Patriots do not back any candidate for any office. Individually we do, as a group we never do. But we've encouraged Ottawa Impact to have some speaking time because we believe that you as voters have a right to a choice. You know, you don't get just one choice of car or one choice of whole wheat bread. You have a lot of choices. We believe choices are good. The left always says choice is good. Well, in this case, choice is good. You have your choice of county commissioners in 9 of the races. Check out the incumbent, check out the challenger, make your best informed decision. Some of them are here tonight, so make sure you talk to them as well as the governor candidates. Another caveat for tonight is we follow in all our meetings with candidates Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment, thou shalt speak no ill of fellow Republicans. Basically, we expect the candidates to make the pitch for why you're the best candidate to become governor. Don't beat up on your fellow Republicans, because after the primary, we all got to unify and bring in some independents if we're going to win this thing. So we've got to be a house united, not a house divided. And I understand politics. I've been involved in it a while. But make the best pitch for why you are the best candidate. Don't allude to your competitors as a vehicle to step into the job. And I know the candidates are going to follow that because all the candidates we've had the last 2 years have followed it, and I applaud all of them. So without further ado, we're going to get going with our first candidate here. Our first speaker is Ralph Rebant II. He was born and raised in Wayne County, Michigan. Ralph has served as lead pastor for Oakland Hills Community Church in Farmington Hills, Michigan since 1987, and he is the chairman of the OPC Church Extension Committee. Ralph earned a bachelor's degree in religious ed from Summit University and 2 master's degrees in religious education and a Master of Divinity degree from Westminster Seminary. You kind of like school, huh, Ralph? And he graduated magna cum laude and acquired credits in the PhD program. Ralph is also chaplain for the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police, Southeastern Michigan Chiefs of Police, Farmington Hills Police Department, the Beverly Hills Police Department, and serves as a board member for the Farmington Hills Crime Prevention Advisory Committee. Ralph served as religious advisor on Governor Engler's Sex and Drugs Education Task Force. Presently, Ralph serves as a member of the Board of Governors for the Council for National Policy located in Washington, D.C., and locally as a member of the Farmington Hills Safe means Suicide Awareness for Everyone program. Without further ado, Ralph Rebant.
Darkness has fallen on our great state. The aftermath of a turbulent administration led by Gretchen Whitmer and her elites in their mishandling of the pandemic. She locked up our economy, imprisoned our families, isolated our sick, and bankrupted our businesses while she received a full government paycheck, visited her family, and grew her own portfolio using campaign money to fly on a private jet to Florida during her own lockdown order. Citizens of Michigan grew confused, discouraged, and depressed. As a result, a broken economy and division in families, communities, and congregations are now testing the fabric of our carefully woven history. One that up until now has survived a revolution, a civil war, 2 world wars, and a host of other catastrophic events. My name is Ralph Rebant. I am a father, grandfather, and husband. My 35 years of experience as a pastor has given me unique insight into repairing the family and healing our state. As the chaplain for the Michigan Chiefs of Police, I have been confronted with issues in our neighborhoods and participated in solutions that have benefited the citizens of Michigan. I'm honored that the Southeastern Michigan Chiefs of Police have endorsed me for governor. And as the 50th governor of the state of Michigan, I will fight for religious freedom, freedom of speech, for medical freedom, for election integrity, for the Second Amendment, and yes, I will fight for the unborn life. Our history shows that when America gets God right, integrity, honesty, liberty, and freedom follow. And that is why America is exceptional. There are those who want to destroy the rights and liberties granted to us by our Creator and confirmed in our Constitution. We cannot let that happen. I will not let that happen. As your next governor, I will stand in the gap for you. Together, let's bring the light of truth to dispel the darkness. Join me, and let's make Michigan a lighthouse to the nation.
Thank you very much for coming out tonight and the warm welcome you've given. I will be at this church preaching on Sunday morning, this coming Sunday, so if you want to skip your church or you don't go anywhere, please come out. I also wanted to add that when I become governor, I'm going to be in a church every Sunday and drive the liberals nuts. Friends, our First Amendment is not to be understood the way it's being interpreted today. Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. That truth is totally warped in our generation. We've raised a generation of kids who think there's this huge wall of separation between church and state. That is not at all what the founders intended. I can tell you that because if you look at what our country has done in the past, not only is it logically untenable to think that there's a wall of separation, hear me out for just a moment. You have the church here. Suppose you have this huge wall, and then you have citizens. People on each side of the wall are the same people. Or think of a Venn diagram. You guys remember Venn diagrams? Big circle, right? Big circle inside the little circle. Inside the big circle, civilization. Inside the little circle is the church. They're both part of the same group. It's logically impossible. When Thomas Jefferson wrote about the wall of separation, what he was saying is to the Danbury Baptist Convention. By the way, the wall of separation does not occur in any national documents. But what he said to the folks there is this. He said, the wall is that Congress shall make no law respecting what the states do. It has nothing to do with church and civilization. It's Congress versus states. That's the issue. My case in point is this. If you were Baptist, you'd live in Rhode Island. If you were Catholic, you would live in Maryland. If you were Reformed, you'd probably be up in Massachusetts. And so I share those things with you folks because our history in our country has never interpreted the First Amendment the way it is today. If it was to be true, let me ask you a couple questions. Why do we pay for a chaplain in the U.S. Senate? Why did in 1787 Congress pass a law that printed Bibles for the Northwest expansion? Why do I have in my possession, by the way, it's fun going through antique stores. It's embarrassing when you see toys in antique stores that you played with as a kid. Makes you feel old. But you can pick up some really nice relics. Right here in my hand, I have a 1941 Bible. It's in pocket New Testament with some metal, psychological, keep the bullets from hitting me in the heart. And there's a letter from President Roosevelt right here, encouraging the military to read this book. I'm telling you, we've been lied to, folks. I have an Army songbook. I could go on about it. It says this book is to be used only within the U.S. military. And guess what's in here? Hymns that you guys sing in your church. We've been lied to. I'm in this race because unless we get God right in this next election, folks, nothing will matter. I want to share with you just a moment about the polling, if I may. Many of you are aware that I was not allowed on the Wood TV debate stage last week. God had a bigger plan. He wanted me in Detroit when that police officer was shot. I went down to Detroit. Some residents called me and said, would you come down and help us? Folks, the polling that was taken for that debate, it either had 300 people or it had 500 people. Half of the people said, we don't know who we're voting for. So the polling was based on 130 people or 250. Then you take the percentage of whoever was at the top. And that percentage is crazy because if it's 10%, that means 15 people gave someone the right to be on that stage. And that's why I was not happy with that. You can't have 15 people speaking for 10 million. God had his plan in that, folks, because on the way here, I stopped by Rick Album's office, and he interviewed me for 20 minutes. So I got more stage time than if I would have been at the debate. So I'm thanking the Lord for that. But, folks, I'm going to tell you this. The race is wide open. Don't let anybody tell you anything differently, because there are people who want to take polls, twist them, and make it look like they're in the lead. I saw an individual who came to Mackinac Island. He flooded it with 400 people to vote for him, and he walks out saying, I won the Mackinac debate. And we're all like, what? Are you kidding me? Who are these people that are voting for you? They staged it. Friends, this is not how we choose. We cannot let money and people warp our thinking. As Steve said, we have to do our research on the candidates. And if you let polls guide you, folks, God help our country. Friends, I'll tell you this too. On Friday, there was a poll that was released. After I said polls are stupid, I'm going to tell you there was a poll The poll said there's not one person, one governor candidate polling over 8%. Think with me on that. National firm out of Tennessee, not one candidate over 8%. But here's what else it said. We've been hearing 46 to 66% of the population still hasn't made up their mind who they're voting for candidate, for governor. This poll said it's 76%. Don't believe the polls. Ask your neighbors. Ask them who they're, I mean, we know who we're voting for pretty much, you who are here. But you ask the average person on the street, they don't have a clue. They don't even know who's running. This race is wide open, my friends. I want you to know that, you know, as a pastor, I've had an incredible experience. My wife and I got married at 18. We knew each other since 7th grade. We got 4 grown children, 17 grandkids. And God has been good. We've seen God do amazing things in our life, in our family. We've seen God answer prayer like this. I mean, I walked into the Secretary of State office one day, and I said, Lord, it would be great to hear from the Lasco Foundation about whether or not we're going to get money to put up our new building. I walk in the building, I walk out. When I walk out, my phone rings. Guess who called? Lasco Foundation. And the man said, Ralph, Mr. Lasco's decided to give you $1 million to put up a building. Do you think I doubt God's power? He does amazing things. At the last moment, in the last 11 minutes, 59 seconds, he comes through. He came through for Israel. He came through for us as a family many, many times. I know people of faith understand that. But friends, I've had the privilege of working almost every conceivable job that you've worked. I've been a janitor. I've been a carpenter, rough and finish carpenter. I built 3 houses myself. I worked at Fermi Nuclear Power Plant. We poured the nuclear cooling towers out in Monroe. I've worked for UPS. I've been self-employed. I've employed other people. I have an extensive background in business, friends. 10 minutes. Thank you. I see that. As a pastor, I don't pay attention, though. But I want you to think with me for just a moment. Please think with me for just a minute, folks. I share my business background with you because Mike Huckabee told me, Ralph, people are going to dismiss you. You know, you're going to announce as governor. Remember Mike Huckabee? He was governor. I mean, he was a pastor. He became governor of Arkansas. It can happen, folks. It's not a violation of separation of church and state. I know you guys know that. But Mike said, you know what? People are going to say, Pastor, why don't you go pray in the corner? We'll take care of the business of the day. Mike said, Ralph, tell people this. And I have been saying this for the last year and 2 months. Pastors are CEOs. They deal with people, budgets, and problems. Amen. People are the hardest part, by the way. But the interesting thing Mike said is that the difference is when you're a governor, there are more zeros on the budget, but the same principles work. So friends, I share that with you because we cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again. We keep sending people, oh, they're a great businessman or a great businesswoman. We send them to Lansing and they're going to fix things. Folks, we've spent $22 trillion over 60 years on social programs. And what do we have to show for it? You all understand, you get it, nothing. More incarcerations, more addictions, more suicides. Friends, you will not solve spiritual problems with money or education. And that's what we've been trying to do for 60 years. We really have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, folks. I don't know any other pastor that's stupid enough to walk out of his church for 35 years and spend his entire retirement on running for governor. We have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And I'm convinced God wants me in this race. Friends, I had Ken Massey, the mayor of Farmington Hills, over to our house because I'd never run for office. But I talked to him. He was the second call I made. I said, Ken, if I run for governor, are you going to support me? He said, absolutely, Ralph, I'm with you 100%. He came over. We talked about what it takes to run for office. And then he said, what would you do for Michigan? I said, well, it's just up here. We want to make Michigan a lighthouse to the nation. I happen to be in Lighthouse Baptist Church. Come on, I mean, that's awesome. So I shared that with him. I shared our Lighthouse Initiative. By the way, folks, if you don't leave before you pick up the Lighthouse Compact, folks, I have put together not a 100-day plan. I put together something that's going to change our culture for 100 years. I'm sick and tired of hearing, this is the most important election of our lifetime. This is the most important election. You guys remember that? Everybody says this one's the most important election of our lifetime. And I'm tired of that. But unless we change culture, it's going to continue to say the same, we'll say the same thing, but it's going to get worse. Watch what Biden did for the last 2 years. It's ridiculous. So anyway, folks, on this Making Michigan a Lighthouse to the Nation, I was up north working in building a barn in Gaylord. I'm up on the roof putting plywood on, and I shoot a 2-inch nail into my foot. And our friends said, Ralph, when I got back from the hospital, they said, you're not going to get up on the roof tomorrow, let's go to Mackinac Island. I said, you guys, I'm not sure I can walk. And they said, you're going to sit here in the chair, or you're going to sit on the boat, and they would talk me into going. So about 12:30, my foot's just throbbing, and I went and I sat on the wall, the big fort up on the top of this wall. And as I sat there texting a guy from church, some random guy walks up to me, and he gives me a coin. And he says, I'd like to give this coin to you in the name of Jesus Christ. And I look up at him and I said, thank you, he's my Savior and my Lord. So I take the coin and I look down. There's a lighthouse on that coin. I flip it over, it's a Bible verse. And the Bible verse says, send forth your truth and light. Folks, this was at the time my wife and I were praying with our family and our church. Is this something you want me to do? I have no doubt God wants me on this path. I have no idea where the path's going to lead, but I know he wants me on this path. Because what I'm bringing, folks, is something that no one else is bringing. I'm not just a Christian running for office. I'm a Christian running on Judeo-Christian principles. Because unless we bring those back into culture, we're going to lose it. I shared a contrast between Oakland County, Farmington Hills, and Oxford. Folks, I went to every one of those visitations for those students who died. I didn't drive up, my truck's got Ralph Reben for governor. I don't even have signage on my truck like that. But I didn't go in as a governor candidate. I went as a pastor, as a police chaplain to care for these people who were hurting. I went to that event, and I said to the chiefs, I said to the chiefs 2 weeks later, I said, can we contrast Farmington Hills with Oxford? And they said, absolutely. And I said, so here's the story. 1960, there were people in Farmington Hills, students who took their guns to school, put them in their lockers, unlocked. They put them in their lockers, and then they went hunting with their teachers after school. You guys still do that here, I know. But what's the difference between that? What happened in 2021 with the shootings in Oxford? What's different? I said, guns haven't changed. I have a 1955 Browning semi-automatic shotgun. The first patent on a semi-automatic pistol was 1892. What has changed? It's not guns, folks. Here's what's changed. We've taken God out of the classroom, we've taken God out of the courtroom, and we've taken God out of culture. Unless we put him back, we're going to lose it. Friends, I don't have time to defend myself from the Mackinac Conference because I want to show you something that's also pretty interesting. But I'm going to take a minute. I have to do that. I have to, there's people, okay, Ralph, you lied. You said you weren't going to the Mackinac Conference. You went to the conference. Let me just straighten it out for you. When they said that you had to get a COVID shot or you had to show proof of vaccination, proof of COVID freeness, I said, I'm not going to that. I'm not bowing to that. That's insanity. We're past that. But then I get an email from them that says, we've changed our rules. Nobody who's attending the debate has to show proof of anything, and nobody did. I didn't have to. My family, everybody else didn't have to do that. Folks, I did not compromise my principles. I didn't have to. They changed to let me in. And friends, I'll tell you this. I will go anywhere to share truth because people need to hear our message that we have to bring God back into culture. That's what Jesus did. Jesus went to the Pharisees who had these stupid rules. Unless you wash your hands, you are not going to eat with us. And he shows up and he shares truth with them. I'm not afraid to go anywhere. I would preach in hell if I could. People need to hear that message, but the problem is there's no follow-up in hell. Friends, I got to finish with this. Time's running out, but I want you to say this. God has raised you and me up for this moment in history. Friends, we have a unique opportunity. The house is on fire. The liberals are trying to destroy the foundation on which our country was founded. And we have a unique opportunity. Once in a lifetime. You weren't born in the 1800s. You were born now. It is you and me together who are going to make Michigan a lighthouse to the nation. I need your help. I need your votes. Pray about it. Think about it. You want to know my heart, folks? I'm a born-again, Bible-believing evangelical pastor. For those of you who know Reformed theology, I'm actually in Reformed theology. But I will tell you that I understand our First Amendment. It says if somebody wants to worship a tree, I can't change their heart. It's God's business. We have a minute and a half left. Guys, would you run that last video? Thank you very much. We're driving down the road right now just looking at the disaster that has been caused by corruption in government. And we don't have to live this way. As I'm out on the campaign trail, I hear all kinds of things about Governor Whitmer, and I can't say most of them. I hate the phrase rules for thee, but not for me. But that's exactly what she did. She locked everybody down and then didn't follow her own rules. So Detroit used to be the wealthiest city in the world. Right now, I don't think there's any incentive for people to come to Michigan to open a business. The tax rates are high, the government overreach, the administrative state, all of the things that really would chase people or keep them from coming into our state are in place. It's not just about money, it's about the culture. And that's what sets me apart from every other candidate running in this race. We've taken God out of the classroom, we've taken God out of the courtroom, and we've taken God out of culture. My whole premise of running for governor is God can change culture. You know, we think that we can change culture by laws and rules and regulations, but it's a heart issue. It's a spiritual issue. There is hope. There is a way out of this mess, and it's time that we see the culture of Michigan change.
Kevin Rinke can't be with us tonight. He had a conflict, but he has some videos. I'm going to introduce him. We'll show the videos, and then Captain Mike Brown is going to be his surrogate speaker tonight. Kevin Rinke has been a successful leader in the automotive sales and management for many years. He was the head of the original family business, the Rinke Automotive Group, which became one of the most successful private dealership groups in the country. He also worked as an executive for Penske Automotive and Sonic Automotive, two of the largest publicly traded auto dealerships in the world. In 2009, Kevin began working with Cassell and Associates, assisting in the rehabilitation of individuals with traumatic brain injuries. Kevin later joined Centra Healthcare, a Michigan-based company that provides therapeutic services to children with autism all across North America. He graduated from Michigan State University in 1983, is currently a candidate to be the next governor of Michigan. Let's show his video, and I'll introduce his surrogate.
Hello, Ottawa County Patriots. I'm Kevin Rinke, and I wish I was going to be with you tonight at your dinner. I appreciate the fact that you and I believe in the same things. I'm a father, I'm a businessman, I'm a political outsider, and a man of God. And I'm looking to bring Michigan back to the place that we all want, the best place for a family, for a business, for America. God bless you tonight. Captain Mike Brown is speaking on my behalf, and he represents all that I believe in, and together we're going to bring Michigan back. Have a great dinner. Thank you.
Sorry about the dinner. That was an oversight on our part. I did put my business card and a mint on each of the governor candidates' tables. That should count for something. Kevin's going to be represented by his friend, Captain Mike Brown. Mike Brown is a former U.S. Marine. He earned a business degree in business administration from Siena Heights College. Mr. Brown is a 34-year veteran of the Michigan State Police, serving as a narcotics team leader removing drugs from our streets, and reducing crime in our communities. He currently serves as captain of the Southwest Division of the Michigan State Police. Without further ado, Captain Mike Brown.
Thank you. Ottawa County, it's great being up here again. My name is Michael Brown, and I'm pleased to represent, first of all, the Republican Party. I've been a Republican my whole life since I got out of the Marine Corps. I served under President Reagan. That's when I got involved in Republican politics. And we have some great governor's candidates here tonight. I know them all, and I'm pleased to represent my friend Kevin Reinke. It really is hard to follow a guy who speaks for a living as Pastor Ralph, so I'm going to do my best here. But I've been in service to Michigan my whole life, and I know a lot of people in the room. But it's my privilege to talk about Kevin's background, his vision for Michigan, and his experience to lead this state to greatness. So you heard a little bit about Kevin. His family's been in the state of Michigan since the 1700s, before it was in the state. His great-great-grandfather was one of the original dealers for the first horseless carriages that were built in Detroit back in the 1800s. So he has a long storied history in the state of Michigan. Kevin's from Oakland County. I'm his top West Michigan representative. I grew up in Kent County. I live down by St. Joseph, Benton Harbor right now. And I know West Michigan well. My office is in Paw Paw. But Kevin's a representative for all of Michigan. So his family has a rich history, and he took over his family business when he was 28 years old, when his brother was killed in an airplane crash. And Kevin self-admits he was not ready to take over the business at that point because his brother was groomed to run the business. But he stepped into that void and led that business to be the second largest automotive dealership in the nation over several decades. So Kevin has a great business leadership experience, serving hundreds of thousands of customers and employing tens of thousands of families over a period of 30 years. And you heard about his business experience leading healthcare industries too. So he's got diversified leadership experience and really is caring for individuals. He told me about how he learned when he purchased that rehabilitation clinic with brain injuries while people were recovering from very terrible accidents. It was the most important thing he learned when part of their recovery, they become productive citizens again, back in jobs. So that was more rewarding to him than the automotive dealership later in life. So you can see Kevin's business leadership experience, and that's what matters in this race in a lot of areas. So I want to talk about Kevin's a couple quick issues. They talked about the pro-life issue. All the governor candidates are pro-life, and that's important because the Republican Party, you see what's going on in the state. The Democrats just filed 700,000 signatures to make abortion illegal all the way up to the 9th month. I mean, how disgusting is that, right? So it's very disgusting. And the Republican Party and all our governor candidates are on the moral high ground for the state of Michigan and the nation. And I'm pleased to say Kevin's right there with everyone else. So I want to talk about a couple issues that really matter to Kevin. First one is education and skilled trades. Kevin is 100% going to work with the legislature and pass a parental bill of rights so every parent, regardless of the school, public, private, or charter schools, understands what's going on with their children's education, especially in public schools. I'm a public school graduate, so we have great public schools across the state. We have some that are struggling. We have some school boards really putting some curriculum in that is unacceptable for our children. Kevin Reinke is going to correct that with his parental bill of rights. So it's very important to him. And the business owners that are in skilled trades, he learned that when he was running the automotive dealerships. That's really what makes Michigan work, is the skilled trades. Whether you're a carpenter, a plumber, you're a mechanic, that's what keeps Michigan running, and he's going to be a strong proponent of that. And it's crazy, you can borrow $150,000 to go to U of M, but you can't borrow $10,000 to go be an electrician. So he's going to correct that through state government. It's very important for the state of Michigan. So I want to talk about his Second Amendment stance. Kevin is a strong Second Amendment supporter. He's endorsed by Ted Nugent with his Second Amendment stance, so you know he's solid on the Second Amendment. We can never take the rights from American citizens away that were given to us by our founding fathers at the birth of the nation. So he's going to be very strong on that. He doesn't support any red flag laws. Every citizen deserves due process. And then, so you can see where he's at with that on the Second Amendment. So let me talk about his stance on taxes. That's his boldest stance out there for Michigan, to return more money to the taxpayers. If you know, the state of Michigan's personal income tax rate is 4.25%. The state of Indiana is below 3%, and Kevin's bold tax plan eliminates the income tax in 2024, the state income tax. So if you're a family of two, you make $120,000, you're automatically going to save close to $4,000 a year. So you look at all the states that are prospering, they do not have a state income tax. That's a big plank in his platform. Tennessee, Texas, Florida, all prospering as Michigan citizens leave the state. So he's committed to doing that, and without having a bold position on that, you're just kind of chewing around the edges, right? Hey, let's reduce it 0.2, 0.5, whatever. That's a bold move. It needs to happen for the state of Michigan to return Michigan to prosperity. So you can see that he's been very forceful on that issue to bring Michigan back to prosperity. So you look at the governors, they're very successful in red states. 7 out of 10 of them are previous business executives like Kevin Rinke. So you can look that up in the various states. And that's what he brings. Experience matters in this race to win the governor's office. So Kevin, you see what's going on out there with energy prices. We have a radical administration with Attorney General Nessel and Governor Whitmer wanting to close down Line 5. That's going to decimate the Detroit airport, Upper Peninsula heat, the refineries in Ohio that bring gas to Michigan. He's 100% behind building the Line 5 tunnel to protect the environment and provide energy to the state of Michigan and the Midwest. So Kevin's an outdoorsman like myself. There's no one loves the outdoors more than people that are in the outdoors, right? That love to fish and hunt. So he's committed to protecting the Great Lakes, the beautiful Lake Michigan we have here. I live right by it in Stevensville, Michigan. He's committed to protecting the Great Lakes with a Line 5 tunnel and keeping Asian carp out of the Lake Michigan. So I may be one of the few people who knows about the Asian carp, but it's a big deal for the Lake Michigan. So he's committed to working with the federal government to not let that happen. We've had malfeasance on the Biden administration and Governor Whitmer on that issue of protecting the Great Lakes. So Kevin also loves agriculture. He has a farm in Kentucky. I grew up milking cows, so we get along a little bit. So, but I drove up from Pawpaw, so I went through Allegan County, then into Ottawa, and I can see all the beautiful farmland, the corn and the bean farmers. Then there was some, I saw a hog farm there, and there was a chicken farm there. But we have great diversity in agriculture in the state of Michigan. Kevin is committed to selecting a great Department of Agriculture director that, first of all, is going to protect Michigan products from overseas dumping with our fresh fruit and vegetables, primarily up the lakeshore here, all the way to Traverse City, and reducing regulations for our farmers across the state of Michigan. We have state departments completely out of control with regulations. And so Kevin is serious about reducing the regulations of the state of Michigan so every business can prosper in the state of Michigan without being overregulated. And we saw the overregulation, right? Starting in 2020 with Governor Whitmer, when she brought the full force of state bureaucracy. And I work for the state police, and I can say it. It still is America, right? So we saw what Governor Whitmer did through her bureaucrats, with Liquor Control Commission, Department of Health, MIOSHA, LARA. So he's committed to reforming the bureaucracy of the state of Michigan with his executive leadership. So that's one of Kevin's priorities. So I'm really glad to see that, since I've had a front row seat to some of this incompetence. I'm surprised I'm still employed as the captain, saying that, but it's true. And I've had a front row seat to it. So I want to talk about public safety, because that's kind of in my wheelhouse a little bit as a 34-year state police captain. Kevin Reinke is putting together a public safety plan that will keep Michigan safe and prosperous. Just up the road here in Grand Rapids, we saw what was going on up there in the George Floyd riots. We had that tragic incident up there a few months ago. We have violent crime in Benton Harbor, Muskegon Heights, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Inkster. I can keep going, right? The valiant Detroit police officer that was killed the other day. Kevin is committed to bringing back respect to public safety across the state of Michigan, and supporting the police officers, the deputy sheriffs, all across the state, the corrections officers, any first responder. We have huge issues in the state of Michigan. It's going to take a new leader like Kevin Reinke to bring that back. So I'm proud to support him on that. He's going to have a great public safety plan. We see what's happening with the Biden open border, the Whitmer-Biden open border, because she supports that. So bringing fentanyl and heroin and everything all through the state of Michigan. So we need a Republican governor to bring that back and protect the state of Michigan. So I'm going to wrap this up here. I won't take my full time because that video is pretty short. But I'm pleased to be here in Ottawa County, such a great community. And I'm pleased to represent my friend Kevin Reinke in his campaign for governor. So I encourage you to look at all the candidates. Look at Kevin Reinke's business experience, his leadership experience, because leadership and experience matters in this race, because we have to have a great candidate to beat Governor Whitmer. And that's what we need to do, right? So I'm a team player, since I've been in the Marine Corps. So I pledge this to Ottawa County, and I hope you'll join me in this. The dust is going to settle on August 3rd after the voting is going to happen. So I hope you will join me in supporting whoever wins the primary all the way to victory in November. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
It's good. He called me son. When you're 75, you appreciate that. You know, we got a deep bench, don't we? You know, we've got so many great candidates. We wish we could elect all of them. But hopefully we'll pick the best one. We will get behind whoever our candidates are. The next speaker is Mr. Ryan Kelly. He is a small business owner living in Allendale, Michigan, with his wife and 6 children. He's been a Michigan resident for over 35 years. Ryan began his career in telecommunications, operating as a union employee with the Communications Workers of America for over a decade. Oops, sorry. I made copious notes and I didn't read it properly. Our next speaker is Garrett Soldano. We've been doing too many of these meetings. We gotta go back to one meeting a month. Dr. Garrett Soldano, DC, is a chiropractor, small business owner, and a former football player. Saldana owns and operates Saldana Family Chiropractic Center in Kalamazoo. He earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Western Michigan University and later attended Palmer College of Chiropractic in Davenport, Iowa, and has since dedicated his life and his career to relieving pain and encouraging healthy, abundant lifestyles. Garrett also played football for the Western Michigan University Broncos for 5 years. He then signed a free agent contract with the Chicago Bears, we'll forgive him for that, before being cut prior to the beginning of the next season. In April of 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, Garrett started a Facebook group titled Michiganders Against Excessive Quarantine that rose to nearly 400,000 members in a matter of days before Facebook shut the group down. After witnessing the censorship of hundreds of thousands of Michiganders, Garrett worked with others to form the organization Stand Up Michigan. Have you heard of it? To put an end to Governor Gretchen Whitmer's endless lockdowns and radical COVID policies. Garrett also serves as co-chairman of the Unlock Michigan campaign, fighting back to repeal Governor Whitmer's use of one of the state's emergency declaration laws. Garrett's efforts were ultimately successful, leading to the repeal of the laws that allowed Governor Whitmer to enact such dangerous policies. We're now going to show a video, I believe, and then we have a surrogate to stand in for Garrett.
Good morning. I'm here at the Michigan State Capitol in my office, and I'm joined by our Chief Medical Executive, Dr. Janae Khaldun. The goal here is simple. Stay home, stay safe, save lives. This will be temporary.
That stay-at-home order, it was set to expire next week, but the governor, within the past hour, extending it until June 12th.
The partial shutdown extended until December 20th. That means no indoor dining, in-person learning at high schools, or places of large gatherings like movie theaters.
Restaurants are still recovering from the first shutdown earlier this year, and back then they even got some help from the government.
And now they're forced to shut down indoor dining, and that extra help is nowhere to be found.
So we have another business owner that are standing up for their rights, and that's exactly what you have to do, folks.
A Facebook group for people against Governor Whitmer's stay-at-home order was shut down by the social media giant yesterday.
I have issued an executive order. It's not a suggestion, it's an order.
Good afternoon, my fellow Michiganders. Good afternoon, my fellow Americans. Here we are today going to talk about, again, the governor. When she gives us lemons, we are going to make vats and vats and vats of lemonade, especially with the clown show that we are currently in, and we continue. I mean, we're shutting down all these businesses. We're ruining these people's lives. And I knew in my head at the time, I could just foresee what was going to happen. I knew that lockdowns, if you do it for a long period of time, do more harm than good. We're social beings. And I just had all this anger inside of me. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to make a Facebook group. And I did it for my own personal expression. I just wanted to get something off my chest. I just made like a 2 to 3 minute video, just like, why is this happening? This doesn't make sense. And I posted it. And that night, I go home to my wife, and there's like 500 people that joined our group. And I looked at it, I was like, holy cow. Like, there's 500 people that feel just like I do. And that's one of the things I think with conservatives, we thought we were alone. And when I woke up the next morning, it was 5,000. And I went to work that day, and later on that day, it was 100,000. And the second night, it was 200,000. The third night, it was 300,000 people
And I looked at my wife on a Sunday afternoon, I was like, you know, what the heck did I do? And then we got clipped overnight. Boom, Facebook took us down. The reason we got taken down was we basically got a notification, or I got a notification from Facebook that said I was advocating the spread of disease. And the post that they got me on was when I was doing a Facebook Live at Carl the Barber's at his facility when he was refusing to shut down. And I didn't interview anybody. All I did is held up my phone and I was like, hey, I'm at Carl the Barber's. We're in here. We have somebody that's standing up.
I've been in this business for 60 years. I cut my first head of hair in 1961, April 20th. When the legislature said her assignment was over and she decided that she was no longer going to govern, but she was going to become a ruler, it's when I decided I was going to open back up again. In that first week, I was working 16 hours a day because this is the way I make my living. I wasn't going to take government money. They were offering me, I think, $160 a week. My taxes were due that week, $2,000 worth of taxes that week, plus a $400 heat bill here, you know, at that time. That $160 wasn't going to cover my expenses, not even close. So I felt that it was necessary for me, because it's my right, you know, it's my American right to work.
I had to get back to work.
So my name is Juliette Altman. I live in Kalamazoo with my husband and my 4 humans. My 3rd son is special needs. He is autistic and non-speaking, nonverbal, so he does not communicate with mouth words. And his school provides a lot of the therapies that make his life comfortable. So that means physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, water therapy, and of course the social skills and the routine. His life requires routine. Any change in that and it messes him up. She not only shut down the school, she also shut down the playgrounds. So everything, his comfort and being able to help him calm down was really hard. So it had just been a really frustrating day, and my 2nd son was turning 9. And he's like, well, this sucks. Beckham's all upset. I can't have a birthday party. We're still doing this. I can't go to a playground, and I can't go get Chick-fil-A. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, that does suck. This is so stupid. You know what? Let's get in the car. I got him in the car and I drove everybody to Indiana just so he could get some frickin' Chick-fil-A and go to a stupid playground. And they're like, this is so great. Why is our state shut down and why can't I run around outside with friends? I was like, I don't know, buddy, but you know what? Indiana's not that far. That wasn't that terrible of a car ride. I will literally bring you here as much as you need, if it makes you happy.
These kids, they've had a whole year now, and it looks like it's going to continue, of all of their lives just being ripped from them. And so that's the biggest thing that we need to change now, is we're leaving long-lasting scars now. This isn't just a superficial paper cut that's going to heal in a week. We are damaging these kids.
We just weren't really sure at first. We thought, this might be a couple weeks. Like most people, we didn't think it was going to be ongoing. We thought this will happen for, a few weeks or a month, but then the months continued on, and then the months, just kept going, and the place remained empty. We did qualify for a little bit of the PPP, but it's still not enough to cover the bills that we have coming in. There's a lot of fear, that how are we going to be able to keep this business sustained? We want to be able to still have this place that so many people look forward to coming, so many people, it has changed so many people's lives. Staying in contact with members, there was a lot of, it seemed just a loss of hope, an increase in a lot of depression going on. I think it went on for a long time and we just weren't seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
I'm not sure he even told me that he was starting the Facebook group, and it was just a way for him to express some of his grievances and kind of put it out there. Why is this happening? What's going on? This doesn't feel right. And I remember we were just about to fall asleep. He checked his phone, and we couldn't believe that it was thousands of people had already joined the group. And when we woke up, and the thousands more that had joined the group, he said, I'm not the only one. We are not the only ones who feel this way. I knew it. I believe I was the one to tell him to run for governor before he even made the decision. God's gift to Garrett was leadership. He stands up for the regular person who can't stand up for themselves.
We need a person like Garrett that is not a politician, that is willing to take off the gloves and fight.
He's done all this with zero expectation. If anything, there was more to lose. And that was a risk that he was willing to do to be a voice.
He's not just talking, he's out there in the community, he's out there advocating, he's out there, standing up for the people, and that's what we need.
My job's not done. My vow is not done. I have to finish what I promised the state of Michigan. I have to finish what I promised the people of the state of Michigan, what I would do. And I won't quit. And I don't quit. I'm a fighter, and I will continue to push this thing forward until I fulfill my vow to the people. I'm Garrett Soldano, and I'm running for governor.
The power of one can lead to the power of many.
Mysterious pneumonia outbreak in Wuhan, China.
A new type of coronavirus.
The number of affected countries has tripled.
The World Health Organization has just declared that this is a pandemic.
I have signed an executive order to extend and expand Michigan's stay home, stay safe order. For the next 3 weeks, we have to take these important actions. The goal here is simple. Stay home, stay safe, save lives. This will be temporary.
Even though the majority of society bought into this narrative, I just felt in my heart and soul that something was off. You should never, ever take away people's constitutional freedoms, their sacred values, their citizens' rights, regardless of a pandemic.
People from all over Michigan are joining what some are calling a movement, frustrated and angry about Governor Gretchen Whitmer's stay home, stay safe order.
The solution to this can't outweigh the potential of what's going to happen if we continue to shut our economy down. The suicides, the stress, all these other things that will happen if we continue to extend this out.
Last Thursday, after Whitmer extended the order till April 30th, Garrett Soldano started a Facebook page called Michiganders Against Excessive Quarantine.
I was like, hey, I'm going to reach 500 people. I hopefully there's 500 people that think like me.
The page now has more than 250,000 followers.
The third night, 300,000. I looked at my wife. I said, what the heck did I do? Because there was a lot of passion, a lot of anger, frustration. There was engagement.
This is what it's about. It's about that feeling that we have inside, into our heart, into our very soul.
It's a family. It's engaged. It's passionate. The silent majority is no longer silent, are we? Why, Governor, did you mandate these masks? Why did you shut down our businesses? Why in the hell did you put COVID-infected people in the elderly homes?
We've got to implore one another to step up and to do the right thing. And Michiganders are smart, we're tough, we can figure out how to do it politely, but also forcefully.
It's always darkest right before sunrise, and we've been through a lot of darkness. The light is coming up, that sunrise is coming up, not because of me, but because of all of you. We are going to allow this to reach millions of people. This is going to allow you to feel the power of our movement. And it's because of all you folks. Holy cow, it has been one heck of a journey. Remember in November, she brought down the hammer again. So when she did that, I remember looking at my wife, I said, I have to do something.
Yes, it is official. I am running for the governor in the state of Michigan.
And that's one thing that we always say is what? The power of one can lead to what?
The power of many.
I don't care if 100 people throw their hat in the ring for governor, because here I am as a citizen right now. If you want my support, if you want my vote, I'm going to ask you this simple question. Did you stand up? Did you hide in the basement like Biden? Or did you do what was right? That's what we're building, and you all are a part of this. So don't you ever think that you can't make a difference, because I've said this time and time again, the power of one can lead to the power of many, and you never know what small act that you may say or do, or when you stand up, that may change the lives of millions tomorrow. So God bless you, God bless the state of Michigan, and God bless these United States. I'm Garrett Soldano, and I am your next governor.
Did we have one of his staffers finishing the time, or are we done with these videos? Oh, okay. Oh, come on up. Come on up. Garrett looks like he could still play. You know, the Lions could use another middle linebacker. I'd forgive him for playing for the Bears if he played for the Lions.
Hi everyone, my name is Miguel Pilar and I'm a regional field director with Garrett Soldano's campaign. Many of you here may have already known of Garrett's story, but for those of you who don't, let me give you a brief back history. In 2020, Garrett found himself as everyone in this same exact room. He was angry and frustrated at Governor Gretchen Whitmer and the Democratic Party. He looked around for someone to stand up. So sorry. Garrett turned a simple rant into Facebook. When no one could be found, Garrett turned a simple rant in Facebook, and he turned that into the largest grassroots movement in Michigan history, co-founding Stand Up Michigan and leading the charge to the 1945 petition. Garrett thought he could go back home to his family and finally be at peace. That was until Governor Whitmer decided to weaponize the health department against our own citizens, forcing our loved ones to suffer and die alone in hospitals, stealing our youth's very childhood away from them, canceling schools and after-school programs. She even told us not to get together to celebrate our very faith. Perhaps worst of all, she potentially killed thousands of parents and grandparents by forcing them into nursing homes. This is why Garrett chose to run, to make sure that the executives of this state will never be able to use the health crisis again to gain power. To ensure that Michiganders' freedoms and rights are protected now and forever. Garrett will work to regain your trust in our government. There will be no more dark money donations or backroom deals, no more secret trips to Florida, and no more covering up evidence. He will work with our next Attorney General, Matt DePerno, to investigate and, if necessary, prosecute Governor Whitmer's involvement in nursing home deaths, as well as Jocelyn Benson's role in the 2020 election. Not only is Garrett already 1-0 against Governor Whitmer, but he's also 5-0 in the primary debates. As Michigan's next governor, Garrett will rebuild our economy, secure our elections, get power back to the people, and end perks for politicians. I'm excited to say on behalf of Garrett's campaign, we have raised over $2 million. 96% of that comes from within the state of Michigan. 96% of that is $200 or less. So we are backed by we the people. This is a grassroots campaign. Garrett was the first to turn in his petitions to get on the ballot without using a single paid circulator. Our campaign continues to be one of the most robust grassroots campaigns in the history of this state, with thousands of volunteers and tens of thousands small dollar donations throughout Michigan. Our grassroots warriors have made nearly 300,000 phone calls and knocked nearly 50,000 doors in just a couple of months. Garrett is the only candidate with the plans and necessary resources to defeat Whitmer and make Michigan great again. Thank you.
Now, I've been practicing this, Ryan, so I'm going to get it right this time. Ryan Kelly is a small business owner living in Allendale, Michigan, with his wife and 6 children. He's been a Michigan resident. Now, I know you've heard it before, but I got to practice this. He's been a Michigan resident for 35 years. He began his career in telecommunications, operating as a union employee with the Communications Workers for America for over a decade. He then spent the next decade working in real estate and now operates his own real estate brokerage firm. Ryan gained public recognition in 2020 as he organized rallies in protest of the lockdowns and mandates which violated the constitutional rights of the citizens of Michigan. On February 1, 2021, Ryan announced he was running for governor of Michigan. In April 2021, he issued his first Michigan First policies, and on December 15th, he released a plan for his first 100 days in office. Ryan is a conservative grassroots patriot, stepping up to fight for election integrity, medical freedom, and protecting our constitutional rights to ensure a free Michigan for present and future generations. Without further ado, Mr. Ryan Kelly.
Sir. We ready to make Gretchen Whitmer a one-term governor, guys? Yes! It's exciting times that we have ahead here in the state of Michigan and in the United States of America. So many people are engaged and activated across our great state and across our great country, and we do not want to see our republic fall. It was brought up in the beginning during the introductions for each of the candidates to share why they're running for governor of Michigan, and I want to share that with you. My amazing wife and I, we have 6 children. Oldest is 12, youngest is 3 months old. We live in Allendale, Michigan. I've lived in Ottawa County for pretty much my entire life. Moved here when I was 5, so feels good to be at home tonight. This is going to be one of the shortest drive homes that I have after these campaign events. We got a big state, you know, we got a really big state. But those 6 reasons, my children, making sure that they grow up in a country that respects freedom, liberty, and can provide a prosperous future for the next generations. Our republic right now is being disassembled in front of our eyes. Ben Franklin was asked, what type of government do we have? And the response was, a republic if you can keep it. And now in the year of 2022, we are fighting that battle right now to keep our republic. So the answer to that question is very simple. All of us are being called to protect the red, white, and blue, to keep this a republic. And it starts with all of us right here in the state of Michigan. And I know that together we will make sure that those that are aiming for globalism, those that are aiming to erode our Constitution and turn our nation into the resemblance of something like communist China will not succeed, not on our watch. Not going to happen. Now, many of you may be here knowing that there's a very special announcement tonight that I'm going to be making. And if anyone doesn't know what that special announcement is, tonight I will be announcing my pick for Lieutenant Governor. Very exciting. You guys ready to know who that is? You guys want to know? Yeah, very exciting. We're going to wait till the end of the speech, though, so you got to hold on just a little bit longer, all right? Just a little bit longer. On February 1st of 2021, I did announce that I was running for governor of Michigan. And it had been after previous 18 months or so of fighting back against all this tyranny. The April 30th rally in 2020, that was a rally that I hosted and planned because we wanted the Senate to vote no on extending the governor's state of emergency declaration. So we showed up on the steps of the Capitol, and it was during the stay-at-home orders. You remember that? Stay home, stay safe? So I called up to the state police, and I'm like, hey, we're going to have a rally on the steps of the Capitol on April 30th. He's like, you know that there's a stay-at-home order, right? I said, well, you know, we have God-given rights, not Gretchen-given rights. So, and it was great. The state police said, all right, I like it. How can we help? And it turned out to be a fantastic event. We got lots of nationwide attention because guys and gals went inside with guns in the Democrats' heads, right? But that day, we inspired the entire nation to stand up against this tyranny, to stand up against the lockdowns, and that continued. We had multiple rallies all throughout 2020, making sure that we are a voice for freedom, making sure that we are a voice for liberty, and that we were not going to allow these type of actions to go unchecked. Moving into the 2020 election, I was one of the voices very early on that said, nah, this is not right. Whatever happens here it's not what we deserve in our republic. And so I was very early on hosting the Stop the Steal rallies, making sure that we at least were pushing back on some aspect. And it's sad to this very day when you see things like 2,000 Mules. Anybody watch 2,000 Mules? Oh my goodness, right? If you watch 2,000 Mule, anybody, I don't care who you are, I don't care what party you are, if you watch that movie and you don't go, well, that's suspicious, right? Then you're in on the steal. And it's sad that we don't have an attorney general, that we don't have a Congress, a legislature that's standing up, decertifying the 2020 election here in Michigan and saying, we're going to get to the bottom of this right now. Sad story, isn't it? You know, and one of the difference between me and some of the other candidates is during the Wood TV8 debate, we were asked the very clear question, do you think the 2020 election was stolen, and do you support President Trump? My answers were simple. Yes, it was stolen. Yes, I support Trump. And the other candidates didn't answer the question. And I called them out on that. I said, you didn't answer the question. You think it was stolen? Do you support President Trump? And they just sat there and looked at me, and I asked the moderator, I said, why don't I have to answer the question? And make them answer the question. The guy's name was Terry that asked the question online. I said, Terry deserves better than this. And they didn't answer the question. They didn't answer the question. That lets you know where they stand, my friends. We need a fighter. We, in these next 3 weeks, have a very important decision to make here in the state of Michigan. We need to determine who is going to be the very best person to go up against Gretchen Whitmer. Now, we recently know that I was arrested by the FBI. My name recognition went from here to, I don't know, I can't reach as high as it went, right? And they're trying to silence me. I was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th protesting the 2020 election. Never went inside the building, never fought with police officers, was there exercising my First Amendment, and now they want to have all these charges against me to try and silence me. And they want to silence all of us. This is not about me. This is about everybody that loves our country, that loves freedom, loves our Constitution, and those of us that ask questions about the 2020 election. Somebody was asked, well, you know, Ryan, don't you think that these charges are going to be harmful to you? And I said the support has been pouring in from all over the state. They know that I'm a fighter. They know that I'm standing up for election integrity, that I'm fighting. And I said, you know, I would love to be on stage with Gretchen Whitmer and say, just imagine the charges that you would have if we actually held you accountable. Exactly. Just imagine, right? Just imagine. That's a long list, right? My pen would run out of ink by the... Anybody got an extra pen? I'm out of ink, right? On December 15th of 2021, after traveling across our great state, spending hours on the phone, I came out with my 100-day plan. Thought it was very important that we be specific as candidates to let you know exactly where we stand. So on December 15th, 2021, I released that plan. Day number 1 with Governor Kelly, the pandemic is over in the state of Michigan. And what I mean by that is we will have no more emergency orders related to the COVID-19 pandemic or the monkeypox. And if we elect all Republicans, we get rid of the donkeypox that's here in the state of Michigan as well, right? Vote red, guys, vote red! No more mandates related to any of these emergency orders. No vaccine mandates, not in our state, not on my watch. And we allow doctors to prescribe effective treatments without getting in the way. A lady in the back asked me, they said, how would you do that? I said, I'll write an executive directive to licensing and regulatory affairs and tell them that they are no longer authorized to put licenses in jeopardy of physicians that want to prescribe effective treatments to their patients. The government stays out of the way. Also, day number 1 with Governor Kelly, we canceled the Dominion, the ES&S, and the HART electronic voting machines. All the contracts are gone, guys. Day number 1. Day number 1. Also on day number 1, our failing public education system. Day number 1, I'll sign an executive directive telling our Department of Education that they are to terminate all of the DEI positions throughout all of our state government. Violates our Constitution. Along with that, we terminate all of the critical race theory curriculum, social emotional learning. We work with our legislature to pass legislation that will solidify that will be upholding Article 1, Section 26 of the Michigan Constitution. We will not allow this type of discrimination in our state. Our children's future deserves better. Michigan students deserve better. We will not sit on the sidelines. Federal dollars that comes into our state for our Department of Education, if there's any strings attached to that at all, we will refuse that funding. You know, as Antifa Joe, I call him Antifa Joe because just like Antifa, he's trying to destroy our country, right? And I don't know if you guys noticed, they're wanting to give another $1.7 billion to Ukraine. Did you see that? Something, yeah, right? You know, meanwhile, we have schools that are unprotected, right? Meanwhile, we have veterans that are struggling here in America, and they've given close to $60 billion to Ukraine. I say it's time that we put America first. These people aren't working for us. So the federal dollars continue to plague our state. The federal dollars continue to control our agencies and our departments. And as Antifa Joe tries to sell America interest to globalism, we need to keep American constitutional sovereignty right here in the state of Michigan and across the United States of America. That's where America First conservative patriots step up and serve so we can take our state and our country back, save our republic. That's happening right now. Things that need to be taught in our schools are academics, skilled trades, American constitutional civics, so the next generation grows up understanding the constitutionally protected rights that we have God-given rights, and the government doesn't have the type of power that we have. See, I'm a limited government type of guy. I'm a free market enterprise type of guy, allowing businesses to operate with relatively low restrictions. The regulations need to be dropped. Licensing and regulatory affairs continues to plague our state. Here's another thing. Rolling blackouts coming your way. Anybody see that? Because the Democrats and their Green New Deal. I think the Green New Deal means they're just signing legislation to bring green dollar bills into the pockets of their special interest groups. So it's a hoax. It's a bunch of nonsense, guys. It's a bunch of nonsense. But it's not our future to have these industrial wind turbines and solar panels all signed to become an agreement state, take control of our nuclear energy program so we can create a nuclear energy future that will provide abundant, clean, and inexpensive electricity for our businesses, our manufacturers, and our homes. That's our future right there, keeping Line 5 open so we can keep these petroleum products going all across the state here. And I support building the tunnel underneath the straits. That needs to happen there, guys. That needs to happen. We'll be friendly to Line 5 and Enbridge so that we can keep our energy costs low. We'll drill American-based oil and produce more diesel and gasoline here in the state of Michigan so we can try to provide some relief at the pump. Whitmer's loving raking in all these dollars now, but she's asking the federal government to drop the gas tax. I said we drop the gas tax here in the state of Michigan, drill Michigan-based oil and provide relief at the pump for our Michigan-based businesses so we can provide relief also at the grocery store. Look, protecting our Second Amendment is important. Also protecting Article 1, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution, which gives us the right to self-defense and the right to keep and bear arms. That's important. Michigan Constitution. I want to see constitutional carry here in the state of Michigan. I want to see us eliminate our pistol registration, opposing any red flag laws, making sure that citizens can be protected. That's extremely important that that happens. Very popular all around the country. And we see with these school shootings, the Democrats, they always want to go after gun control, take guns away from law-abiding citizens. We need to work with the NRA with their school security programs to have an assessment of our schools. I'm reaching out to them, setting up that type of communication right now with the NRA. Did you guys know they have a program that does assessments at schools? Yes, the NRA provides it free of charge to tell you where you have issues. Single point access, metal detectors inside the doors, allowing school staff to carry firearms on school property. Simple stuff, guys, simple stuff. Zero basis budget so that we're not looking at how much money we spent in departments last year. We're looking at what budgets need in order to operate. I was talking to some folks from the National Guard the other day. They said we had piles of ammunition on these pallets and we were going to put them in storage. I said, whoa, you can't put them in storage. We got to get rid of that. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to have the same amount of money next year. We don't need to be having all this wasteful spending. We need to have those zero basis budgets so we understand what our departments need in order to function and operate so we can provide the right amount of dollars to them. Amazing future ahead, my friends. Amazing future ahead. John Adams once said that stand on principle even if you stand alone. And that's where the Mackinac Policy Conference does come in, because while the radical left aim to put vaccine passports or COVID PCR tests in order to attend the three-day conference, they segregated the governor's candidates outside in a tent and said, well, you don't have to show your medical ID there. I sent a message to the Detroit Chamber, said, unless you cancel all of the vaccine requirements and COVID requirements for every attendee, I decline my invitation to debate. They responded by taking me off of the invited guest list. Okay. I encouraged all of the other governor candidates to stand with me, boycotting that, saying we will no longer allow the left to segregate or run the show and play these COVID games, because you know the COVID games are still coming. China's got their citizens locked down now. With Governor Kelly, you know I will stand on principle based on that decision alone. I chose to say no to the video cameras. God's like, watch this. God, you know, it's not a, I got, let me hold my beer moment. But I turned that down, turned down the cameras. The FBI shows up at my house, arrests me. I'm on every TV across America, right? It's a pretty good trade, I'm going to say. Stand on principle even if you stand alone, my friends. This time of my speech, I have a very important announcement for you, because we need to know what the candidates are going to have as running mates so that we can understand who that ticket is going to be. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this, praying about it. There was a lot of candidates that I was interviewing and talking to, but there's one person that really stood out to me. And that came one day when I was praying, and it was just very clear that this person is the one that needs to be my lieutenant governor. And I am proud to welcome tonight my lieutenant governor pick, Jamie Swafford. Come on up, Jamie. Give her a round of applause, guys. This woman is amazing. This woman is incredible. This is a voice of freedom that has been traveling around our great state, that has been spreading the message of freedom, hope, and prosperity that we have. I am proud that you accepted my invitation. And Jamie, let's win this.
What an unbelievable honor to be considered as position for Lieutenant Governor. Thank you, Ryan, for your confidence in me. And I will not let you down. And most importantly, thank you for the confidence that you guys will show in me for Michigan. So, here we go. During the last few years, me and my husband have worked tirelessly to promote constitutional conservative candidates throughout our great state of Michigan. We have attended and spoke at political rallies, candidate forums, and many Lincoln dinners throughout Michigan. As I have traveled around the state getting to know really all the candidates, Ryan's vision has what stuck out to me the most. Putting America first, Michigan first, is what we both are striving for. Going back to the beginning of what the founding fathers, what these founding fathers originally envisioned was one nation under God with liberty and justice for all. One of my favorite pastors, John MacArthur, said, "A society is defined by what it allows." What have we allowed? Men and women's sports, division within the school system, critical race theory, DEI, SEL, and the latest, a drag queen teaching our kids. We have been compromising on the principles that have made this country the longest running constitutional republic the world has ever seen. Ryan has traveled around the state like I have, and he keeps in mind one simple question. What do you want in your government? Because really, as John Wycliffe in 1384 wrote in his prologue, in his translation of the Bible, and later Abraham Lincoln said in the Gettysburg Address, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. And that's who we need right now, a governor of the people, by the people, and for the people. So, August 2nd, you guys, let's vote for Ryan Kelly, a governor of the people, by the people, and for the people. Thank you.
We're going to make a great team, aren't we? Kelly Swafford? Yes. One more round of applause for her. All right, we got this. Michigan has a very hopeful future. America has a very hopeful future because of people like us. Because of individuals like Steve here that have gone to extreme lengths to get the word out, to get people together. Look at this room tonight. This room filled up here didn't just happen overnight. It happened by passionate patriots spreading the word, stepping up, fighting for our country, making sure that we pass on those freedoms and liberties enshrined in our Constitution, given to us by God, are passed on from generation to generation. My friends, 3 weeks from today, Michigan has a very important choice to make. And I encourage you all to tell everyone you know and go to the voting booths, vote Ryan Kelly as Michigan's next governor. Let's win this!
We're going to take a short break here because the live streaming into the backup rooms is running about 3 minutes behind. So this is the point where we remind you that freedom isn't free. To put on these events, we have to have your support. Either become a member or make a donation, and we appreciate it. We've been putting on a lot of events lately, and it's stretching the budget. We had 3 events in June. We're going to have 3 in July. We're going to have a meeting next week. We're bringing in Pat Kolbeck, Maya Hahn, Joe Moss, and a number of candidates will also be speaking. And that's kind of a pep rally before the final event. And then we're going to be showing 2,000 Mules. How many people have seen 2,000 Mules? How many would like to see it again? We're going to show it every month until the people who have not been allowed to see it get to see it. We had a big crowd last time, and they really, they don't want you to see it because they're trying to continue to tell you that there was nothing wrong with the last election. But you see that movie, it opens your eyes. And we also have speakers that are experts in that area speaking about Ottawa County after we show the movie. So we have flyers on that at the back table and on our display table. If you want to get on our mailing list, pick up one of those cards and fill it out and give it to Jeff at the back table. We're just going to take a few minutes here so we can get the live streaming caught up in the side rooms. But so we appreciate your support. Again, the Ottawa County Patriots mission is pretty basic. And our mission is basically to promote awareness and understanding of American government, the free enterprise system, traditional American values, and related political or civic issues through education and citizen involvement. We try to educate you, and then at the end, we're going to give you some homework. We're going to give you some things you can do about it. Every meeting, we try to educate you and get you kind of agitated about what's going on, and then give you some hope about how you can make a difference. But just like Mr. Soldano stood up and got Stand Up Michigan going, we all need to stand up. And if we don't, we will lose our basic freedoms, and we won't get another shot at it. So please give us some support. And again, membership's open to anybody. You don't have to live in Ottawa County. We have members all over West Michigan. Anybody can become a member that agrees with our mission statement. We have one speaker left, and after that speaker finishes, we're going to have some closing comments, and then we're going to challenge you to go out and talk to the candidates for governor and their surrogates, and all the other candidates in the side room. And you'll have a full hour to talk to them, ask any question you want. Won't be filtered by a pundit or a news media type person. It'll be you asking them directly. I also have some information at our table right at the back here about the Right to Life PAC, some of their guidelines and bylaws. My friend Fulton Sheen printed it off for me, and if you're interested in digging into what's going on with the Right to Life endorsements, that will help explain it to you. It's hard to imagine a guy like Ryan Kelly with 6 kids he takes good care of isn't pro-life. Anybody with 6 kids that does a good job as a parent is pro-life. They don't have to talk about it, you just know they are. I'm going to, actually, while we're just waiting to get caught up, I'm going to tell you a story about some of the candidates in that back room. About a year ago in Ottawa County, how many of you people heard about that 1,000 group of parents that showed up at the Ottawa County Commission about a year ago? Raise your hand. Okay. If you don't know the story, 1,000 concerned parents showed up at the Ottawa County Commission. They were concerned about the shutdown affecting their kids. They were concerned about the masks and the vaccines that were being mandated for kids to be in school. And they shared their concerns with the County Commission. The County Commission, of course, listened to them and granted their every wish. No, that's not what happened. What happened is the County Commission made sure that you never could have 1,000 people ever show up at a County Commission meeting again in Ottawa County. They put new regulations in place. They restricted how many could come in. They escorted you in and out, kind of like when you have to visit somebody in jail, you're escorted in and out. And they were limited to 1 minute. They cut their time down. So these concerned parents did what we would expect. They just gave up and walked away. No, they didn't do that either. They got an attorney. They brought a suit against the Ottawa County Commission and the Health Department. They lost that lawsuit, but at the end of it, the judge said, you know, if this is about the Health Department director, the County Commission hires that person, they can fire them. Well, the county said, oh, no, we can't. The state won't let us do it. So then, of course, those parents just gave up and went away. No, they didn't do that either. They formed a PAC. They formed Ottawa Impact. They recruited and vetted candidates to run for public office, and some of those people are in that back room tonight. And these are not lifelong politicians. These are people that didn't need to run for public office. They didn't want to run for public office. They're just average folks like we are. But they looked at the situation and said, if we don't do it, who is going to stand up for our kids and yours? So they decided to run for public office. 9 of them are running for Ottawa County Commission seats. So there's actually a contest this year. They've been demeaned a lot. The media is beating up on them. The Sentinel has been relentless with the nasty letters to the editor. Their opponents are doing a lot of dirty tricks, and they're calling them radicals. These are average folks. These are average folks, and they're being demonized. But the reason for it is because they're standing up for what they believe, and they want free and fair elections. They want government officials to be more transparent. So when we finish with our next speaker, I want you to make sure to go and thank those people from Ottawa Impact that are running for office, whether you can vote for them or not, or whether you do vote for them or not. Thank them for having the courage to stand up and do what most of us aren't willing to do, run for public office. So make sure when we finish after the next speaker, you go and talk to those folks. I also see in the back there our frequent flyer, Mick Bricker. Mick, stand up. Mick will be here next week, and he'll be on the agenda, and he'll have a table, and he'll be talking to you. Every time I go to a meeting, a grassroots group or a Michigan vaccine group, I bump into Mick. Everywhere I go, he shows up. So I kind of figured out Mick and I kind of look at things the same way. But Mick's a great guy. If you don't know him, he is running for public office. And you might be so fortunate as to live in the area where he is. But, you know, he's here tonight. You can talk to him. But he will be here next Tuesday, and you'll have a whole lot more time to talk with him. But next Tuesday, we have great speakers. We have additional candidates. And it's going to be a good opportunity to kind of get fired up for the primary elections. Okay, I think it's time to get rolling again. If everybody can kind of grab a seat, we're going to introduce our last speaker, and we're going to have a few closing comments, and then we're going to have plenty of time to talk to these great candidates that we have. And based on the candidates that have talked so far, let's give them a hand. These are great people. The Democrats could only dream of having candidates like we do. Our problem is we got too many good ones. We only get to pick one. Our last speaker, but not least, is Tudor Dixon. Tudor Dixon is a businesswoman, a breast cancer survivor, and a working mom of 4 girls. She built a career in Michigan's steel industry throughout the early 2000s, leading industrial sales for heavy equipment in the agriculture, automotive, and energy sectors. Tudor paused her career upon having children and being diagnosed with breast cancer, and after beating cancer, Tudor returned to the steel industry briefly before beginning a journey that led her to conservative media and activism. As a mom of 4 young girls with a bachelor's degree in psychology, Tudor became concerned about the indoctrination of children in our schools. That led her to found Lumen News, which provided pro-America, pro-Constitution morning news programs to grade school students. As Lumen became more successful, a new conservative network approached Tudor to integrate Lumen's programming into their own. Tudor accepted the offer and transitioned to being in front of the camera for the first time. An experienced businesswoman, Tudor immediately recognized the enormous damage that Gretchen Whitmer's lockdown would have on the economy, especially for working-class families. She began to speak out before the lockdowns took a deeply personal turn, with Tudor's grandmother dying in the fall of 2020 in a Whitmer lockdown nursing home. Thanks to Whitmer's cruel no visitation policies, Tudor and her 4 young daughters could only wave goodbye through the outside windows before her grandmother passed. Tudor entered the race for governor in May of 2021. Tudor has established herself as a policy leader in the Republican field, releasing detailed plans to rebuild and grow the economy, stop the indoctrination of our school children, empower parents in education, expand school choice options, and applying common sense reform to Michigan's elections. Without further ado, Tudor Dixon.
Thank you all. It's so good to be here tonight. It's very rare that I get to be so close to home this late at night, so I'm glad I just have to go a little bit up north to get home. It's good to be on the west side. Thank you all for coming out here tonight. It's an interesting race, because when I started this race, we were fighting against men and biological boys in girls' sports. So it was a fight for little girls, and I have 4 of them, so I was ready for that battle. Definitely ready to fight for my daughters. Then a couple of weeks ago, that changed to a fight just to say woman. You hear Gretchen Whitmer come out, and she starts calling us menstruating people. I'm like, this is like the last thing I want to be called. Then all of a sudden that changes last week. And let's not forget the teachers union. Gretchen Whitmer is bought and paid for by the teachers union. So the teachers union comes out and they're like, oh, we're taking moms out of the school. What? Being a mom, and I see a lot of people that I suspect are moms out there, it's like, mom is a pretty tough job. Do not erase the mom. No, it's going to be a birthing person. I had a mom come up to me last night, and she said, I adopted my kids, so what does the teachers union call me? Yeah. So we're not erasing moms, but somebody said to me last week, boy, this is becoming an interesting race, because we're looking at Michigan. Here it is in the middle of the country. We've got Midwest values. We're Midwest nice, and we see the potential of having a conservative mom against a far left birthing parent. This could be the epic fight that the whole country watches. Let it happen in Michigan. Let's show them that conservative values will win every time. And boy, our state needs it, because we are at a critical point. Education. We've got those moms paying attention. We've got dads paying attention. And it's important, because in Michigan, we are struggling in education. We're 38th in the nation. The latest data came out last week, a couple weeks ago. It shows that by 2030, if we don't change something, we'll be in the bottom 5 in the nation. A nation that's already, in some cases, behind European countries. So that's pretty bad for the state of Michigan. Our literacy exams just came out. 50% of our 3rd graders this year failed. People say, what do you think is the most important thing? Well, when I become governor, when I go into that office, and those same kindergartners go in 22, when my term is over, I want to make sure they can all read. From kindergarten to 3rd grade, you're learning to read. From 3rd grade on, you're reading to learn. We're stealing from our kids. We're done with that. There's going to be no wrong path in education in the state of Michigan, and we've seen it work in other states. We're not recreating the wheel here, folks. We are making sure there's opportunity, and it's going to start in this state. It's very important for us, but it's also important to make sure that they're actually learning what we want our kids to be learning. So you heard our Attorney General come out, and she's so cute. We're going to have a drag queen in every school. I'm so funny. It's funny because we're like, no. You say that, we take it seriously. We take action. We don't think it's funny. So I went and I met with some of our legislators. They said, we're going to write a bill that bans drag queens in school. So a couple weeks ago, we presented that bill on the steps of the Capitol, and then the Democrats went crazy. The media was a little mad too, because we didn't exactly tell them what we were presenting when they came. So they were a little mad. The Democrats said, how could you do this? I mean, have you ever seen a drag queen in a school? I've seen drag queens in our libraries. I've seen drag queen programs for children, drag your kids to Pride, and now I heard that somebody wants them in our schools. So we're going to make sure they're not. Simple as that. We're done playing in Michigan. So we also want to make sure parents know what's happening in the school. We've called for the Parents' Right to Know Act because we're going to get rid of this radical stuff, but they're going to rename it. We want you to make sure you always know what's happening in your kid's classroom and you're not fighting to get that information. I saw just before I walked in here, there was some post saying, oh, these radical conservatives are saying they want to ban books. I'm like, yeah, if I go down to the local bus stop and I read this book to the kids and I get arrested for it, I'm going to ban it from the schools. We're not going to have pornography in our schools. That's not going to happen. We're going to protect our kids. Last weekend, I was in Traverse City at the Grand Traverse GOP, and this little girl comes up to me, and she was probably in her 20s. I mean, you know, at a certain point, everybody looks really young, right? So she comes up to me, she's super excited. She said, I heard you worked in skilled trades. And I said, yeah, I spent most of my life in our steel foundry, with a steel foundry in Muskegon. I went from the foundry to the forging industry, but yeah, I did. And she said, man, it's hard as a woman. I work in the trades. How did you do it? And it was really interesting because, boy, I love having a woman come up to me and tell me she's in the skilled trades. Right now, I love having anyone come up to me and tell me they're in the skilled trades. It's so important that we make sure we preserve that and we continue to bring people into it, and that we have the opportunities there, that we have vocational schools, that we have tech schools. And so she said, some days are hard. I said, oh, hey, 20 years ago, you work with a bunch of foundry guys. I mean, no offense to you guys out there, but I mean, these guys were rough. And they could be rough on a young woman. I remember walking into one of these shops and the guy said to me, get out of here, I'm not talking to you. It was a really good training ground for politics. I mean, people tell me that all the time. But it really was, because I was told to just leave, and I was young, you know, I could have gotten offended. This was before everybody got offended, because it was a long time ago. But I could have, you know, and nowadays people do. So I could have easily been offended and walked away, and I had to humble myself, and I said, well, you teach me and I'll take it back. About 5 hours later, that guy said to me, I might have learned something from you today. I learned something, and that is that if you listen, you'll eventually be in the conversation. But if you walk away, you only hurt yourself. So when I decided to run for governor, a lot of people were like, that's insane. But I didn't want to walk away. I wanted to be in the conversation, and I think we can bridge the gap in our party and beyond to make sure Michigan thrives. I've had a good training ground for that, and I'm not going to walk away. But the funny thing about when you tell people you're running for governor, it's like if I go to anybody and I say, I want to try a new job, I'm going to start a new career, I'm going to go to school for something, they're always like, oh, that's amazing. If you tell people you're going to run for governor, like, oh, don't do that. That's nuts. And it is kind of nuts. And I was fortunate to grow up in a family that they were really encouraging. And so when I told my dad, I'm going to run for governor, my mom was standing there and she was like, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. My dad said, she's always going to look out for you and be worried about you. You do it. You can do it. And the funny thing is that for as much as they are trying to destroy the woman, this could be the year of the woman. We could be protecting our daughters. We could be protecting women and mothers and ultimately families, because we have a huge opportunity to make our state friendly to families again. We have a huge opportunity to turn this culture of attacking businesses around and make this the best place to have a business in the entire country. But right now we're not. We're seen as a gotcha state. So outside of the state of Michigan, people say to me all the time, oh, we don't want to go to Michigan because the regulation is so tough, the agencies are so hard on us. Businesses that are here say if we could leave, we would, and some of them are telling me we are going to leave if something doesn't change. And some of them have been the people that have said, why would you do this? We're so screwed up here, but we can fix it. We can, and it's not crazy, it's not insane. We have the people that know how to do it. We have states that know how to do it. We can bring those policies here. We can reduce regulations by 40%. We can make this business friendly, and we can save our businesses. In the second debate, I said, we're going to lose the automotive industry, and then the news media came out and they're like, oh, radical conservative, she's nuts. I got a call from the automotive industry a few weeks ago, and they said, you're the only one that gets it. We didn't even ask Michigan to bid on our last 3 plants. That's devastating. They said it's not because of the unions, it's not because of energy, it's not because of any of that. It's because it's too darn hard to do business in Michigan. If you're not producing, you're not making money. If you're the automotive industry, you're racing against all the other automotive industries. If you go to Tennessee and they say, you can break ground in the next month, we'll get all your permits set. Oh, heck yeah. I mean, why not? I'll listen to country music. I'll go to Tennessee. That sounds great. You go to Michigan and we're like, you know what? You could probably break ground in 8 months, but we might stop you with permits here. I mean, but we've got Kid Rock, so that's great, right? That's not gonna keep people in Michigan. That's not gonna get people to come to Michigan. That's not going to keep our legacy industries here, and we're already seeing them leave. We have to do something quickly, and we can. And we can bring this state back. So we need to focus on education because that's our foundation. We need to bring a heck of a lot of people to the state because for the first time, we see people leaving the state of Michigan. But it's been stagnant for 20 years. Since the early 2000s, no growth. Now, we're definitely dropping population. That's catastrophic. Because you want your roads fixed, you want great schools, you want good public safety, you gotta have a tax base. We need 1 million more people to come to the state and then to continue growing. So we have to have highly rated schools because that's the first thing you check as a young family. How are the schools rated? They're not rated well, we're not going there. How safe are the cities? Well, we've got 3 of the most dangerous cities in the country, and I think if you go to that list of 100 most dangerous cities, we're in the 20s. We need to support our police officers. We need to have safe cities. And then we can bring a workforce back and we can be the #1 place in the country for agriculture and manufacturing again, and we can lead this country back to success. And when people talk about Michigan, they won't say it's a gotcha state. They'll say it's a got your back state. We're going to take care of the people who live here. We're going to be the #1 place for young families. We're going to get creative about bringing people to the state. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fresh. And Michigan is going to lead the country again in all areas. And I ask you to help me do this alongside of you, because in this year of the epic battle between the conservative mom and the far left birth person, we will show that the family values win. Thank you all. God bless you, and God bless the beautiful state of Michigan.
You've heard some great speakers tonight. They're going to be sticking around. We're going to encourage you to visit them. We have some events coming up you need to know about. In that far room with the other candidates, the Ottawa County Republican Party has their picnic coming up very shortly. You can get information about that. There's an event coming up in Drenth on Monday, July 18th, that's going to have all 5 governor candidates and a lot of other things going on. We have a flyer on that at the table at the back here. And we have flyers about our upcoming meeting also. Make sure you visit the candidates, both the governor candidates and the people running for different offices. They make a lot of sacrifices to run for public office. Not all of them are going to win, but you need to encourage them and thank them for having the courage to stand up and to run for office. It's taken time away from their families, it's cost them extra money, and a lot of aggravation because they get attacked by people who don't know them. So thank them for running, because we need people like them to stand up and represent us. On the media, they always talk about our democracy. Democrats love to talk about our democracy. Folks, we don't have a democracy yet, thank God. We're a representative republic. That means we elect people who represent us. A democracy is mob rule. And any civilization that started out as a republic, when they go to become a democracy, they fall into anarchy, and then dictators follow that. Happened to Greece, happened to Rome, could happen to us. So we need to get behind good, upright candidates and get as many of them across the finish line for the primary. But the primary is not the finish line. We have to get them elected in November. So we're going to keep having meetings. We're going to keep you informed on the issues. But you are the active people. You showed up tonight. Nice summer night. You could have been doing a lot of other things. You came here because you're concerned. You need to talk to your friends and your family. 40% of Christians didn't vote in the last election. That must not happen again. You've got to talk to your friends and family. You've got to talk to your pastors. If 40% of Christians didn't vote, look what happened in Michigan and in the country. It's your civic rent to vote and to be active. And we always provide opportunities for you at our meetings, not only to learn something new, get facts and truth, and we don't stint on that ever, and then we challenge you to do something about it. What you can do tonight is pick up some of the literature on our table or the candidates' tables, read up, figure out who you need to support. Some of them need money. They're running on a shoestring. They can use your help. They don't get money from George Soros. But every dollar helps. And encourage them. If you've ever run for public office, you know what a emotional and physical grind it is. People are going out in the hot sun, going door to door. Some of my friends are running for office, and they're exhausted, going door to door and putting up the yard signs and all the rest of it. It's grueling work. Encourage them. Thank them. Because if you're not going to run, at least encourage the people that are. Because we're facing not just another election. Some of you are history buffs. You've heard about the Cultural Revolution in China. What they did is they took thousands of years of Chinese culture and they wiped it out. They took the intellectuals and put them in the countryside digging ditches. They wiped out an ancient culture, and then they imposed upon it a communist culture. When you see statues being toppled and Seattle burning and police being defunded, these are not isolated things. There's a cultural revolution going on, and they're attempting to destroy the Judeo-Christian culture that we grew up in. And if you folks my age or a little bit younger know, things have changed. The world is not what it was when we were kids. And it may never be again. Our kids don't know what our youth was like. But if we're going to save it, it starts now. It starts here. It starts with us. So what you can do tonight, become informed, get on our mailing list for Pete's sake so we can let you know when we have these great meetings, because we have a lot of great ones, and we bring in top-notch speakers, and we never stint on that. But you're never going to read about us in the Holland Sentinel or the Grand Rapids Press. We don't invite them. It's like inviting a turkey vulture to your picnic. Why bother? They're not going to report the news. They're just going to spin it. But talk to these candidates. Get involved. If you find a candidate that you like and actually lives where you can vote for them, do more than vote for them. Put out a yard sign. Knock on some doors for them. Make a donation. These people are fighting for us. And they have the gumption and they've made the sacrifice to do that. Most of us are not willing to do that. But they are. So thank them. Encourage them. And God bless you for coming tonight. But don't leave until you've thanked every one of those candidates for all that they're going through. You've been a great audience. You've been very patient. Thank you so much.